When you don't do something very well, you tend to avoid it, and that's where the gap widens between good readers and poor readers.
When children learn to read, it actually develops their minds.
He always was a bright student. He really was. You could see that something wasn't clicking, but he was very bright, extremely curious, really hard worker. He had some handwriting issues. He couldn't read with any fluency.
I thought reading was not my thing, and I thought I wasn't meant to be there. I chuck it out and sound it. We like shed, we do sh and duh.
I worked with him for about 3 months. It just kind of clicked. Everything was easy for Darren, so I would keep trying to make it harder and harder for him. And shortly after that, he was tested. He tested on a level O and almost a level P, and the literacy facilitator and I talked about it, and she said there's so many other kids that could probably use it a little bit more, and he was had really gone up such a great deal that he probably didn't need that kind of instruction anymore.
I think it helps me a lot because now I feel like I'm ready to go to 3rd grade.
The CMS system, it costs about $8,000 to $10,000 per child to put them through school per year. And if a child isn't reading by the end of the 3rd grade, they're probably not going to learn to read well. Kids don't drop out of school until high school, so you've got several years where the school system is funding their cost and they're getting very little benefit.
What sets us apart and makes us so effective is our training. It's multisensory, so we're utilizing multiple pathways to the brain. Every letter and sound is introduced in an audio, visual, and kinesthetic way. So while a child is looking at the letter and they're seeing it, they are also saying the letter and the sound that it makes as they're tracing the letter on a textured surface.
We get all of the training, all of the materials, and then you give us all the support we need to be successful.
Reading's pretty complex, and it takes intensive training to understand it and understand how to teach it. We assess the child first. That's absolutely the first thing we do, and we can see some gaps from our assessment. And then we start at the basic level.
After training, our volunteers commit to providing a minimum of 60 sessions of tutoring with one low-income child. And so they meet with their child twice a week, usually during the school day, for about 45 minutes to an hour each time.
I feel very confident in what I'm doing. I walk in, everybody's happy to see me, I know exactly where I'm going, I know exactly what I'm doing, and for me that is a real booster for my morale and my ability to be a good tutor.
She couldn't draw a diagonal line, so when she would make her letters, they all went straight up and down or across.
When I was in the 1st grade, it was like hard for me, but until she kept pushing me, I got it.
And we just persisted until she finally was able to do it. And when she did, I was high-fiving her because that was an amazing achievement for her.
Pacing is based on the child. It's not based on a group of children where they all need to be up to a certain level by a certain point. Every lesson is developed specifically for that child and what they need in that tutoring session.
They understand the explicit, systematic nature of high-quality instruction is what makes a difference for struggling readers.
Typically, the majority of students will have at least half or more of their sounds. But in our school, which is very high poverty, 2% of our kids come in knowing even half or more of those sounds.
I've never seen a nonprofit organization that has as great of an impact for such a small amount of cost.
The Augustine tutors are kind of a rare breed of tutors. I mean, there's a hardcore, dedicated commitment that shows up through tutors who are, part of the program for multiple years. There is an intimacy of connection that develops over that long period of time that adds greatly to how that tutor can enhance the child's learning experience.
After a while, I realized that I had to keep doing this because it wasn't just so I'd have something to do. It was because it was what I was meant to do. and I had to keep doing it.
You're kind, and she's sweet, and she's always pushing me to do my work.
I can right now think of 10 children off the top of my head that are perfect candidates for this program.
It's a remarkable investment in changing a child's life for a pretty small amount of money in the scheme of the value that's created.
I feel like I can do anything.
We don't need to build kids' self-esteem so that they learn to read. We need to teach them to read so that they gain some self-esteem. It's the reading that comes first.